I think as a nation, we do have to ask ourselves a fundamental question about our priorities. If 4 hedge fund managers today, at a time when we have massive income wealth inequality in America, 4 hedge company executives making more money than every kindergarten teacher in this country, maybe there's something wrong with our national priorities. This country does not survive unless we have the best education in the world for our kids. We're not going to compete economically. We're not going to see our kids flourish. So I'm always impressed that when it comes to defense spending, hey, we could spend $1 trillion a year, bills come out of committee 20-1, no debate. Massive tax breaks to billionaires, hey, not a problem. But maybe to address why it is that we're paying teachers in this country inadequate wages, oh my word, that's just an impossible task. Federal government can't get involved in it. So I think it's time not only to take a hard look at education in general, but to take a look at our national priorities and to take a look at how we treat the children of our country. In a moment, we will hear directly from educators from across our country about the enormous effort it takes to provide a quality public education for every child in our country. In my view, if we are serious about the need for a bright and hopeful future for our country, we understand that the children, the young people of this country are our future. And there is, in fact, nothing more important that we can do than provide a quality education to all of our young people. And yet, for decades, public school teachers have been overworked, underpaid, understaffed, and maybe most importantly, underappreciated. Compared to many other occupations, our public school teachers are more likely to experience higher levels of anxiety, stress, and burnout, which was only exacerbated by the pandemic. As a result, nearly 8% of teachers leave their profession each and every year, double the rate in countries like Canada and countries around the world. According to the most recent statistics, some 300,000 teaching professions, nearly 10% of all teaching professions nationwide, have been left vacant or filled by teachers not fully certified for their assignments. In addition, teacher turnover rates are 50% higher in school districts with high poverty rates than districts that serve wealthier students. In other words, the areas where we need the best teachers the most are the areas where we're seeing the highest turnover. Incredibly, 44% of public school teachers are now quitting their profession within 5 years. Now, why is that? Why are so many public school teachers, people who came into the profession because of their love of kids and their wanting to do the right thing, why are they leaving that profession? Why do we have a massive shortage of teachers in America? Well, there are many reasons, but one of them, and one of the primary reasons, is the extremely low pay teachers receive. According to the statistics that I have seen, the average starting teacher salary in America is less than $45,000 a year. Nearly 40% of school districts in our country pay teachers a starting salary of less than $40,000. Incredibly, the average public school teacher in America is making nearly $100 a week less than she or he did 28 years ago after adjusting for inflation. In other words, the real salaries of teachers are actually going down in inflation-adjusted numbers. Wages for public school teachers are so low that in 36 states throughout America, the average public school teacher with a family of 4 qualifies for food stamps, public housing, or other government benefits. In America today, nearly 20% of public school teachers in our country are forced to work 2 or 3 jobs during the school year. Maybe they are driving an Uber, maybe they are waiting tables, maybe they're parking cars. In the richest country in the history of the world, Seems to me that we have got to do a lot better than that. Meanwhile, because of lack of resources and tight school budgets, about 80% of public school teachers are forced to spend their own money on classroom supplies without being reimbursed, which comes out to about 13% of their first monthly paycheck. The situation has become so absurd, and this tells us not just about how we feel about education and teachers, but maybe our sense of priorities as a nation. The situation has become so absurd that four hedge fund managers on Wall Street made more money last year than every kindergarten teacher in America, nearly 120,000 teachers. Four hedge fund managers, more money than 120,000 kindergarten teachers. Public school teachers should not be forced to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. They should not be forced to be on food stamps. Further, as bad as everybody in this room knows, it's not the teacher that keeps the classroom going. They need support service. And as bad as public school teachers are paid, our nation's school custodians, food service workers, and other school staff earn even less. In America today, nearly 40% of support staff in our public schools earn less than $25,000 a year. Now, it would seem to me that we would want as a nation to attract the best and the brightest people into the enormously important profession of education. And if we're going to do that, if we're going to encourage teachers to teach in underserved communities, if we're going to improve teacher retention and morale, and if we're going to improve student academic outcomes, then in my view, we need to pay teachers in America decent wages and decent benefits. Not a very, I think, radical or controversial concept. And that is why I've introduced the Pay Teachers Act with 9 of my colleagues this Congress. This bill would make sure that no teacher in America is paid less than $60,000 a year. It would increase wages for teachers who have made teaching their profession, those who have been on the job for 10, 20, or 30 years. It would triple Title I funding, get money into those school districts that need it the most. It would invest in federal programs to provide teachers with the training, education, and preparation they need to succeed, and it would benefit every public school district in our country. I'd like to start off by asking Mr. Arthur and Mr. Keyes and Dr. Kerwin, what are some of the realities that teachers are experiencing in the classroom? How many of our kids are walking into school from dysfunctional families? How many kids may be sleeping out in cars? How many kids have seen violence in their community and with the trauma that might bring about? How many kids are suffering from emotional disturbances which are acting out in the classroom, making the teacher's job that much more difficult? Mr. Arthur, what are teachers around the country seeing in their classrooms?
Chairman, the answer to your question is too many. All of your questions can be summed up by too many of our children are struggling, too many of our families are hurting, and as you mentioned, and was mentioned by other speakers, we are understaffed, under-resourced, and underprepared to deal with this moment because no one has experienced this moment in history before. Nobody has learned how to teach during a pandemic in our country's history. We didn't know what we were doing, but we did it anyway and we got it done. And every teacher right now who is in the classroom who taught through the pandemic, we're not just teachers anymore, we're survivors. And as we try to give each other grace, as we deal with these large issues and try to figure out how it is that we best come through this, I think that the strongest show of support that we could make to our classroom teachers and our students and our parents and our families is just to recognize we're doing something unprecedented. And as we do that, we're gonna fumble, we're gonna try, but you cannot do something remarkable if you're under-resourced. We do need more tools and more means of making this happen.
Keys, what are teachers in the classroom in Philadelphia seeing in their kids? Kids coming in, well-fed, et cetera.
I'll have to agree with much of what Mr. Arthur said. Not only are they coming to school, they're coming to school from traumatic experiences, traumatic backgrounds, and a lot of the issue has to do with things that they see in their environment. And a lot of what they see in their environment has to do with what they see in society. Things like Black Lives Matter and racism and all of those kind of things. I spent a year working with high school autistic support students with autism, and it just baffled me how aware they were about the political climate and just things that are going on, because I normally work with younger kids. So some of the questions that they came to me with and some of their concerns were very adult and had to do with racism. It had to do with gun laws. It had to do with elections. They're aware of these things, and those things weigh heavily on them.
Okay, thank you. Let me jump to Dr. Kerwin. Congratulations for doing what we don't do enough in this country, and look to what's working in other countries around the world. You mentioned early childhood
Yes,
education as one of the 5 principles.
right.
The general assumption is that in a nation where most working class people, mom and dad, are both working, what is the quality of early childhood education that allows kids to do well in the first grade in this country right now?
Senator, can I tell you what we're doing in Maryland now through the blueprint on this very issue?
What did you see? I mean, what I want to know is, our kids, mom and dad have to work because
Yes.
despite some people's thought that we are the envy of the world economically, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to put bread and food on the table.
Right.
All right? Is our child care system in this country providing well for the kids, enabling them to do well as they enter school?
No, it is not.
What are you doing about it in Maryland?
Well, it's a very important component of the blueprint. It's pillar 1 of the blueprint. And so we've done a number of things. We've created and expanded centers around the state that work with low-income parents from 0 to 3 on issues of nutrition, child rearing, child development. We've also, as part of the blueprint, created free, full-day, high-quality preschool for all low-income children. We've seen
How has that
already.
been received? Are people taking advantage
Oh,
of it?
absolutely. And yes, they are. And we've seen already in our assessments of, at kindergarten level, are children ready to learn, a significant increase in Maryland because of these preschools. You know, it has another benefit, not just for the children. When there is free, full-day preschool available, parents can work. And it has a benefit for the family beyond just the development of the child.
That's a very important point. I think when we look at the issue of education in America and the challenges, significant challenges we face, it's also important to take a look at how, as a nation, we feel about our kids. Are our children a very high priority? Does anyone really think that as a nation we believe that? Now, if we believe that, we would not have 9 million children living in poverty. We would not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any nation on earth. Dr. Kerwin has looked at countries around the world. Many countries around the world understand that the most important years of emotional and intellectual development are 0 through 5. That's what we are told by every psychologist who studies the issue. And yet we have a child care system which A, is unaffordable for millions of working class families, B, pays child care workers even worse than we pay public school educators. People are working for less than McDonald's, doing some of the most important work in the country. And yet, as Dr. Kerwin mentioned, there are countries around the world, and perhaps Maryland is beginning to do that, to say, you know what? Childcare is enormously important. If kids are going to get off to a good start in life, open the doors. Let's have decent paid teachers, and let's not worry about the cost of that, because we're going to save money long-term if these kids do well in school. I think it's time not only to take a hard look at education in general, but to take a look at our national priorities and to take a look at how we treat the children of our country. With that, this hearing comes to an end. Any senators who wish to ask additional questions must do so by June 27th at 5 p.m. Committee stands adjourned. Thank you.